So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a unique video this week. And again, I asked people what they wanted to know this week, and there was a very good comment by someone who said, "Can you please talk about when the Lord of the house is debilitated, but the Karaka, the significator of that house, is exalted or in a good position?" That's what pretty much they were trying to say, or vice versa, where the Lord is debilitated, but the Karaka is in a great place or exalted. What does that mean? How do you look at that in a chart? So that's what we're going to discuss today. And obviously, if you do not know how your planetary placements are in your birth chart, along with all the detailed divisional charts, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, consultations, and link to my academy, Vedic Astrology Academy, where I teach all the things of astrology. So this is actually going to be a very simple video. I don't even think this is going to be a long video at all. A lord of the house depends upon your ascendant. So whatever your ascendant is, your fourth house could be ruled by Capricorn, fourth house could be ruled by Aries or Gemini or Cancer, okay? And fourth house will represent the mother or a home, real estate, vehicles. Same thing with the fifth house. Fifth house could have a sign which could be Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Gemini, Virgo, depending upon your ascendant. Okay, because if you're a Pisces ascendant, then moon will rule the fifth house of children. So, in that way, let's say, for example, we take the example of fifth house. Okay, and I don't know what that sound is, but let me find out what this sounded. I don't know if it's coming in the audio. I think it's the vacuum. Okay, so the sound should be much less now. So taking the example of Pisces, okay, let's say you have fifth house of children being ruled by moon. And moon is, let's say, in a difficult position. It's hemmed by malefic, it's in an enemy sign, receiving the aspect of malefic. I can't really use the word debilitated, because what does that mean? Moon being debilitated, because moon in Scorpio can bring about a situation with the child where child can become extremely successful and wealthy. You know, what does that mean? So I can't use this debilitated and exalted position. What I have to use is a position in a good dignity or a bad dignity. And good dignity and bad dignity of that particular lord is not just by seeing with certain parameters that I just explained, but you also have to look at the Navamsha, the strength of that planet. You have to look at the planet, because let's say if you're talking about children, you have to look at that in the Saptamsa chart, the D7 chart. So you realize that, okay, this fifth lord is weak. It's not doing well. However, who is the Karaka of the fifth house of children? It's Jupiter, and Jupiter is in an excellent place. So we determine that your Jupiter is a strong Jupiter. It's not weak internally. It's not weak externally. So what this simply means is that you have a promise of child. You're going to have children, because the Karaka, the significator, is strong. So Karaka is the one that gives permission for attaining something, receiving something in this particular life. The Lord simply shows the quality of that particular situation. So you have children, fine, but fifth house represents the first child. First child, you may have to deal with their struggles in education. You may have a very naughty child who's not behaving. And not everybody is a saint in this world. Children turn out to become criminals. Children turn out to have, certain issues in life. They may have bad marriages, or they may never get married, never have children. So you deal with that particular part of that issue. They may have situations where they're doing better in education till they're like in high school, and you're like, oh my God, why is my firstborn child dealing with this issue? All my other children are doing well. What is wrong with you? And this is where you have to realize the quality of that particular house. So Jupiter said, yes, you're going to have children. But fifth house represents the first child, seventh house represents the second child, third house represents ninth house represents the third child. So you determine that mostly people have 3 children nowadays. So you determine the 7th and 9th house are well placed, Karaka is well placed, first house is not well placed. Well, that's gonna bring about a certain struggle in trying to either have a first child, like for example, you are promised children, but the initial first child, which is the 5th house, is not in the best position, so it can show delay in children, not having children on time. You may have to do IVF. You may have to, during pregnancy, you as a female, you get a C-section. So that's what it represents. Same thing with, let's say, for example, 7th house of marriage. Well, 7th Lord will represent the quality of the spouse, and the Karaka of the marriage, which is Venus, will represent the permission. Are you going to get this thing or not? And when you're kind of determining whether it's your child or spouse, there are many things that work here. Number one, the 7th Lord will represent the quality of the spouse. 7th Lord of Navamsha will represent the quality of the spouse. Dharakarka, planet with the lowest degree, will add on to that quality of the spouse. And the Karaka will represent the permission to have that, and again, the overall quality of that particular marriage. So remember, you should not feel confused. Which one should I look at? You should look at everything. Because in one, Dharakarka may show that your spouse is going to be very good with dealing with the government. 7th Lord of the birth chart will show they will also have habits of gambling, playing card games or poker. 7th Lord of Navamsha shows they have major anger issues. So if one planet could tell us everything, astrology will be very simple for anybody to understand. But obviously it is, especially when I'm teaching, when I'm talking about it, I make it easy. But don't just don't feel confused, like, what do I need to look at for the spouse? No, you got to look at everything. Same thing for a child. 5th house will represent certain qualities of the child. 5th nakshatra from Jupiter will represent certain quality of the first child. Jupiter will show overall quality of what type of children are to be given to you overall. 5th house of Saptamsha will add on to that quality of that first child. So when you're looking at a chart to determine what is bad, what should I look for in a spouse, or what should I look for in a child, we'll look for everything. Now let's say, for example, the Karaka is bad. Karaka, you realize Jupiter is in a bad condition in birth, Navamsha or Saptamsha, whatever you're looking for. But the Lord is great. Lord is beautifully placed. What happens then? Well, what happens then is there is tremendous desire for having a child. There's this tremendous need to have a child. You are desperate to have a child. When the Lord is not so great, you're like, oh, I can wait. I don't need to have children right now. I need to prepare myself for this and that. I don't want that responsibility right now. No. And yet if the Karaka is great, you will get the child. And perhaps it's your karma to have the responsibility way earlier than you thought. But if the Lord is great and the Karaka is bad, well, the Karaka will show trouble in having children, issues with having children. And I'm talking about biologically conceiving a child. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. But the Lord will show that you have prepared yourself. You're desiring for that child. You want that thing to come in your life now. And this is where it becomes a game of teasing. So it's that simple. When you're looking at a Lord, when you're looking at a Karaka, one is the quality, the other is the granting of that actual thing that you're looking for. So if you're looking for property, you want to look at Moon and Mars as the Karaka of property, land, and real estate. Lord will show how good of a house will it be. Big house, small house. And Lord are also used in timing. Besides the Karaka, the Lord also comes in timing of attaining that thing, whether it's to have children, whether it's to get married, whether it's to have a property and real estate. So hopefully this has, given answer to this very complex situation, which is actually very simple. Okay. So guys, this is my analysis of how to understand Karaka with the Lords. Hopefully you got this in this quick video. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss these type of videos. And If you want to know about your Karakas and all of that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report. And especially to learn them, you can go to Magha Vedic Astrology Academy at KRSchannel.thinkific.com, and you can learn all about these things and more. Okay? See you later. Bye-bye.